I am flying to you, not on wings, not on machines, but on hope. Sometimes in life, we feel a pull, soft, steady, undeniable. A gravity made not of force, but of love. And when that pull calls us, we move, we rise, we fly. Today, I want to speak from that place, the place where courage meets feeling, where tenderness becomes strength. Because when I say I am flying to you, I don't just mean crossing distance. I mean crossing fear, doubt, pain. I mean choosing love even when the world gives you reasons not to. And I want you to know this. Every step you take toward the person or dream you love, the universe moves with you. It wants you to arrive. It wants you to rise. It wants you to fly. I am flying to you. Those words echo inside me with a weight I didn't expect, a softness I didn't plan for, and a truth that feels as if it has lived in me for a long, long time. When I say I am flying to you, it isn't just travel, and it isn't just movement. It is a declaration, a promise, a quiet, steady decision to cross every inch of fear, every hesitation, every piece of my old self that once told me to stay where it felt familiar. Because now, familiar isn't enough. Safe isn't enough. Silence isn't enough. Not when something inside me rises the moment I think of you. Not when I feel the shift in me, gentle but real, telling me to go, to move, to rise toward the person who pulls me with a kind of gravity that isn't heavy but healing. I am flying to you because there comes a moment in every life where distance stops being measured in miles and starts being measured in longing. And longing, when it's real, when it's honest, becomes a map of its own. It points your heart in a direction you didn't expect to take, and yet somehow it feels like the only direction that makes sense. I don't fly because it's easy. I fly because not flying would be a betrayal of what I feel. It would be like silencing a truth that keeps trying to speak, gently at first, then louder, then in a way that can't be ignored. I have lived many moments where I chose stillness out of fear, moments where I convinced myself that connection was dangerous, that vulnerability was too fragile, that loving meant breaking. But you changed the meaning of those truths. You softened them. You rewrote them. Or maybe you didn't rewrite them. Maybe you simply reminded me that love has more than one definition, and the one I have been carrying wasn't the whole story. So when I say I am flying to you, I'm not speaking from a place of desperation. I'm speaking from a place of awakening. In the quiet between heartbeats, I find myself going back to the first time I felt the shift, the first time I sensed something opening in me because of you. It wasn't dramatic or loud. It didn't come with fireworks or some cinematic moment. It came in silence. It came in the way my chest expanded when I thought of you. It came in the way I felt understood, even when no words were exchanged. It came in the way the world softened for a moment, as if telling me, pay attention, this matters. And I did. Maybe not immediately, maybe not fearlessly, but I paid attention, and that attention became the root of this journey. Flying is a strange thing. Physically, it means rising above the ground. Emotionally, it means letting go of the parts of yourself that cling to the familiar. Spiritually, it means trusting that the place you're heading toward is worth the vulnerability it requires. I used to think flying was only for those who had everything figured out, those who didn't doubt, those who felt fearless. But I've learned that flying is actually for the ones who feel everything deeply but move anyway, for the ones who tremble but still choose the sky, for the ones who understand that love isn't about staying untouched. It's about being willing to be touched in ways that deepen you. When I think of you, I feel that willingness. I feel that soft pull. I feel the quiet courage rising in me, not as a battle cry, but as a steady heartbeat. It's gentle, but it's insistent. It tells me go, move, even if you don't know the outcome, even if the path scares you, even if you've been hurt before. Move anyway. And so I fly. Not because I am unafraid, but because I am willing, willing to rise, willing to hope, willing to love. As I travel toward you, whether in miles or in intention, I find myself thinking about all the times I tried to convince my heart to stay quiet. I remember the moments where I told myself not to feel too much, not to lean too close, not to hope too deeply. And yet here I am doing exactly what I once tried to avoid. Not because I've become reckless, but because I've become honest. There is a difference. Recklessness ignores the consequences. Honesty accepts them, but moves anyway, because the truth is worth it. You have become a truth in my life, not an overwhelming one, not one that demands attention, but one that gently reveals itself. You've become the soft place in my thoughts, the calm in my storms, the warmth in moments where I felt cold inside. And when you experience that kind of presence, even from afar, Something in you begins to stretch toward it naturally, instinctively, like light reaching for another source of light. I am flying to you because I can't ignore that instinct anymore. The journey towards someone who matters is rarely straightforward. It comes with questions, with doubts, with moments where you wonder if you're imagining something that isn't there. I've had those moments. I've sat in silence wondering if what I feel is real or if my heart simply wants it to be. But every time I quiet the noise inside me, every time I listen beneath the fear, I find clarity. And that clarity says your presence has changed me in ways that can't be denied. It says the connection I feel isn't imagined, it's recognized. Recognized. That's the word I keep returning to because it doesn't feel like discovering someone brand new. It feels like remembering someone I was meant to find. It feels like something in me finally opening a door it has kept locked for too long. And with that door open, everything feels brighter, softer, more possible. Flying toward you isn't just about reaching you, it's about stepping into the version of myself that was waiting behind that door. As I rise through this journey, I carry with me not only my hopes, but my imperfections. I don't want to arrive as someone flawless. I want to arrive as someone real, someone who has been shaped by life, softened by experience, cracked in places but repaired with intention. Someone who understands that love isn't about being perfect for another person, it's about being true. And truthfully, I choose you. In small ways, in big ways, in quiet ways, in spoken ways, in ways I am still learning to articulate. There is something profound about choosing someone with your whole heart, not because you expect anything in return, but because something inside you feels at peace in that choice. I don't fly to demand. I don't fly to claim. I fly to offer presence, to offer truth, to offer love in a form that is gentle but strong, quiet but steady, vulnerable but sincere. I am flying to you with open hands, not to take something, but to share something. The part of my heart that feels alive in your direction. As the sky stretches out before me, wide, endless, unpredictable, I feel something inside me shift. I realize that love isn't found by hiding, by hesitating, by waiting for the perfect moment. Love is found by stepping into the unknown, with faith that what pulls you forward is real. And what pulls me forward is real. It is a feeling that isn't dramatic, but grounding. A feeling that doesn't leave chaos in its wake, but clarity. A feeling that doesn't demand security, but inspires trust. I imagine the moment I reach you, not as something grand or theatrical, but as something quietly powerful. A moment where the distance dissolves, where the effort becomes worth it, where my heart finally settles into a rhythm that feels like understanding. I imagine looking at you and feeling the world soften again, the way it always does in my thoughts. I imagine presence, simple, honest enough. Flying toward you has made me understand love differently. It isn't about possession. It isn't about perfection. It isn't about avoiding pain or controlling outcomes. Love in its truest form is movement. It is the willingness to step beyond your fears without knowing what comes next. It is the courage to open your heart after it has been closed for too long. It is the decision to trust the pull you feel, even when the world tells you to doubt it. I am flying to you because you have awakened something in me that is worth honoring. A softness I thought I had lost. A hope I thought had grown tired. A desire for connection that feels deeper than anything I've known before. I am flying to you because your presence reminds me that love can be quiet and still be strong, gentle and still be powerful, simple and still be extraordinary. As I move forward, I feel gratitude for the journey, for the vulnerability, for the courage I didn't know I had, and most of all for you, because you are the reason the sky feels inviting instead of intimidating. You are the reason the journey feels meaningful instead of frightening. You are the reason my heart feels open instead of guarded. You give meaning to the movement. You give purpose to the flight. I am flying to you not because I am certain of the future, but because I am certain of the feeling. And sometimes that is enough to change everything. I am flying to you, not with wings, not with anything extraordinary on the outside, but with something quietly powerful rising inside my chest. I am flying to you because love has a way of creating its own pathways. Pathways that don't follow logic or maps or the limits we place on ourselves. Instead, they follow the soft but certain pull of the heart, the kind that whispers more truth than any loud declaration ever could. When I say I am flying to you, I don't mean I'm escaping something behind me. I mean I am choosing something ahead of me, something that feels right, something that feels like home, even if I've never fully arrived there before. The journey toward you begins long before the first step, long before the distance even becomes real. It begins in a moment, a quiet, unexpected moment, when I first realized that your presence stirred something in me I hadn't felt in a long time, maybe ever. It began when I felt that soft shift inside, the kind that catches you by surprise because you can't explain it, yet you can't ignore it. I realized then that some connections aren't accidental. Some are echoes. Some are recognition. Some are the kind of gentle gravity that doesn't push or demand, but invites. And I accepted the invitation. Flying to you is not the act of someone trying to prove anything. It's the act of someone who feels deeply, who loves quietly but fully, who understands that love isn't just a feeling, it's a movement, a direction, a steady unfolding of truth that happens in its own time. And sometimes it takes courage to follow that direction. Sometimes it takes a kind of bravery that isn't loud or dramatic, but soft and persistent, the kind that keeps walking despite uncertainty, the kind that keeps rising despite fear. I am flying to you because some moments in life tell you with absolute clarity, this is the way. And even if the path is unfamiliar, even if you've been hurt before, even if the world tells you to be cautious, the heart knows when something is worth the journey. You are worth the journey. Not because you complete me, not because you fill some empty space, but because you awaken something that feels genuine, something that feels alive, something that reminds me that I am capable of giving and receiving love in a way that is pure and honest and undemanding. As I move closer to you, physically, emotionally, spiritually, I feel more of myself unfolding. I feel the layers I once kept locked away begin to loosen. I feel the weight I carried for years begin to lighten. And it's not because love makes everything perfect. It's because love, real love, allows you to breathe. It allows you to feel without judgment, to hope without fear, to be without pretending. You give me that feeling, not by trying, not by effort, but simply by being. Flying to you is not an escape. It's a return to myself, to openness, to truth. For so long, I held parts of myself back, afraid that vulnerability would break me, afraid that caring deeply would leave me shattered. But caring for you hasn't broken me. It has softened me. It has reminded me that tenderness can be strength, that affection can be courage, that love can be healing rather than harm. There is something extraordinary about recognizing someone, not with your mind, but with your heart. You feel it before you understand it. You sense it before you accept it. You know it before you admit it. And even when fear tries to intervene, even when doubt tries to steal the moment, something deeper remains steady. Something inside you says, this connection matters. Don't run from it. And I'm done running. I want to move toward what feels real. I am flying to you with hands that are imperfect, a heart that has known both hope and heaviness, and a soul that has wandered through its own storms. I don't come to you as someone flawless. I come to you as someone honest, someone who carries stories, memories, mistakes, dreams, and quiet wishes. Someone who has learned through time that love is not something you find ready made. It is something you build, something you give, something you grow into. You inspire that growth in me, not with pressure, not with expectations, but with presence. Your presence feels like calm. It feels like clarity. It feels like the kind of warmth that settles not only in the body, but in the spirit. And when I think about reaching you, I don't imagine a dramatic moment. I imagine something simple, something real. I imagine looking into your eyes and understanding that the journey, the miles, the emotions, the vulnerability was worth it. Every mile I move, every thought I carry, every breath I take as I fly toward you reminds me of what love truly means. Love is choosing someone even when you are afraid. Love is leaning into connection even when your past taught you to retreat. Love is showing up, not because you must, but because you want to. Because something inside you feels at peace when you do. I think of all the times I tried to silence my heart, times when I convinced myself that feeling deeply was a weakness. But caring for you has shown me the opposite. Feeling deeply is strength. Loving openly is strength. Choosing tenderness in a world that often encourages hardness is strength. And in that strength, I find my wings, not literal ones, but the kind that lift the spirit, that open the soul, that allow a person to rise above fear. You are not the reason I can fly, but you are the reason I want to. Flying to you feels like freedom, not the chaotic kind, but the kind that brings a quiet liberation. It feels like shedding the weight of old fears, releasing the ghost of past heartbreaks, letting go of the walls I once believed were necessary to keep myself safe. When I move toward you, I feel like I am moving toward a truer version of myself, one who isn't guarded or cautious, but open, warm, willing. I am flying to you with the certainty that love doesn't need to be loud to be powerful, doesn't need to be perfect to be meaningful. Doesn't need to be dramatic to be real. The kind of love I feel is soft, steady, consistent. It doesn't overwhelm, it comforts. It doesn't demand, it invites. It doesn't consume, it fills. As I rise higher into the quiet sky of this journey, I reflect on all the small things that made me fall toward you. The kindness in your words, the sincerity in your energy, the gentleness in the way you exist. Love doesn't always arrive with bells and echoes. Sometimes it enters your life like a breath, subtle, essential, invisible, yet undeniable. That is what this feels like. Flying to you has made me realize that love isn't something that asks you to change who you are. It's something that asks you to reveal who you've always been. And who I've always been is someone who loves deeply, someone who hopes earnestly, someone who feels intensely. I silenced those parts of myself for too long, thinking the world required me to be indifferent. But you reminded me that indifference is not strength, connection is. Every step of this journey feels like a reclamation of the parts of my heart I thought I had lost. And it is because of you, your warmth, your presence, your unspoken understanding, that I find myself wanting to give from a place of truth rather than fear. I am flying to you because something in me trusts you, not blindly, but naturally, not impulsively, but instinctively. And that trust feels like a rare and precious thing, one I don't want to take for granted. As I draw closer to you, I imagine the stillness of the moment when our worlds meet. I imagine the quiet sense of belonging that has echoed in my heart ever since I first felt connected to you. I imagine understanding, not with words, but with presence. I imagine that feeling of being known, not completely, but genuinely. And I look forward to that, not with expectation, but with gratitude. I am flying to you with love that is gentle yet immense, quiet yet powerful, soft yet unshakable. Love that doesn't rush, doesn't force, doesn't demand. It simply exists. It simply rises. It simply chooses. I choose you in a way that feels peaceful, in a way that feels grounded, in a way that feels like the sky opening rather than closing. Flying to you is the courage to step towards something incredibly meaningful. It is hope made motion, affection made direction, truth made journey. And even though I don't know what waits on the other side, I know what I feel. And that feeling guides me, lifts me, steadies me. It whispers to me in the quiet moments, telling me I am moving in the right direction, toward the right person, for the right reason. I am flying to you not because I am certain of the outcome, but because I am certain of the feeling.